got a good leg to stand on.
You were right. You were right. Thank you, sir.
Let's call the meeting, call the meeting to order.
Yeah.
Tammy and Ron will be late this evening. The invocation this evening will be given by Rajan Zed. He is the president of the Universal Society of Hinduism, and he is from Las Vegas, Nevada. Glad to have you in Oklahoma.
Thank you. Okay.
Go ahead, and after the invocation, we'll do the flag salute, and then city council people will do a picture with you right down.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Enid City Council, for the opportunity for prayers from ancient Sanskrit scriptures to be read in this great hall of democracy of the great city of Enid. I shall read in Sanskrit and then interpret in English. Om Bhurvuvah Svah Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. We meditate on the transcendental glory of the Deity Supreme, who is inside the heart of the earth, inside the life of the sky, and inside the soul of the heaven. May He stimulate and illuminate our minds. Astoma Sadgamya Tamsoma Jyotirgamya Mrityor Mamratam Gamya. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Tasmada Sakta Statam Karyam Karma Samachara Asakto Hyacharan Karma Parama Panoti Purusha Karma Neva Hi Samsiddhi Mastita Jankadya Loka Sangreha Mevapi Sampa Shankar Tumra Hasi. Strive constantly to serve the welfare of the world. By devotion to selfless, one attains the supreme goal of life. Do your work with the welfare of others always in mind. Om Saha Navavatu, Saha Nobunaktu, Saha Viryan Karba Bahai, Tejasvi Navadita Mastu, Ma Vidvisa Bahai. May we be protected together, may we be nourished together, may we work together with great vigor, may our study be enlightening, may no obstacle arise between us. Samni va akuti, samna hirdayani va, samna mastu o mano, yatha va susa hasti. United your resolve, united your hearts, may your spirits be at one, that you may long together dwell in unity and concord. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om. Thank you.
Brian Skaggs, would you lead us in flag salute, please?
I
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, we need to take a picture.
Sure. Let's stand in front of the mic. That way we'll hide the mic. Everybody get close. Put you inside in front of the microphone.
Okay, front of the microphone.
Get closer.
Bill, he wants you next. You're the.
I'm okay.
Come with me.
Carol, wants you on the other side, please. If we had some music, this would be great.
Yeah.
Carol, won't you?
I can't get It's already getting uncomfortable.
Everybody sneaks. Everybody sneaks. There you go. This is the record. Okay. And then, of course, we have the television camera coming our way.
Safe travels back.
Had a cigarette in a long time, but I feel
Week.
I was planning on going hiking Saturday. I don't think I'm going hiking Saturday. We're gonna go to Tulsa. Yeah, that's terrible. Tulsa anyway, but go eat well, do interesting things.
Item number 4, consider approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting of April the 3rd, 2018.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben.
Second.
Second by George. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 5-0. Item 5, awards, presentations, proclamations, and organizational business. Item 5.1, present the pet available for adoption at the city animal shelter. Get bigger every day, don't they?
Good evening. Tonight we have a little 6-week-old mixed lab puppy. We've named her Hollis, and she'll be up for adoption at the city animal shelter this week. She's the she's the pick of the week. So she'll be up for adoption, and come out and see us, 1200 block of South 10th. She'll be waiting for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.2, present Better Hearing and Speech Awareness Month proclamation. Gerald, Steve, sorry.
Mayor, would you join me, please? Mayor and Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 presentations to make this evening. Carmen Ball, would you join us? And I know you have an entourage of support with you. Join us all up here with the mayor, please.
You never pass up an opportunity to stand beside Bill.
No, it's totally fair.
Well, thank you for being here, and the city manager has authorized this proclamation, and so here we go. Again, thank you for being here this evening. Whereas an estimated 48 million Americans, or 1 in 5, have some type of communication disorder, with economic costs exceeding $30 billion due to lost work productivity, special education, and medical treatment. And whereas hearing loss is a major public health issue that is the 3rd most common physical condition after arthritis and heart disease, with 1 out of 3 persons over the age of 65 with a hearing loss, and almost 15% of school-aged children with some degree of hearing loss. And whereas those citizens of Enid who have overcome their communication disabilities through the services of dedicated audiologists and speech-language pathologists should be recognized. And whereas Enid is proud and honored to have this expertise offering quality education and health services to its citizens, enabling those citizens to lead independent, productive, and fulfilling lives. And therefore be it resolved that Mayor Bill Shuey, Mayor of Enid, Oklahoma, hereby proclaims the month of May in the year 2018 as Better Hearing and Speech Month. Congratulations, everyone.
I'd really like to thank the city for proclaiming this, along with the National Hearing and Speech Month. And with us today, we have 2 speech pathologists and our audiologist, Kathy Chambers, who's our lead speech pathologist, Charlene Wickert, who is one of our prime people of helping especially children, and Kim Tinius is our audiologist. And just part of our mission as a United Way agency is education of the public of how much of a problem that lack of communication due to hearing or speech issues is, and helping answer questions about it. And thank you for making that awareness even higher.
Thank you.
Do you all want-
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be a fun opportunity for us. I have some young ladies I want to introduce to you one at a time, and as a group, we will talk about Troop 727. But I'd like to call to the front to meet Mayor Shuey, Kira Granberg, Nala Chavez, Juliana Chavez. Can you come on up here where the mayor's at, please? Hannah Killam, Tamron Sutton, Haley Barker, Estefani Hernandez. I'm sorry. Was I even in the neighborhood? Probably not. I'm sorry. And the leader, Lisa Granberg. I'm sorry, Lisa, come on up here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Troop 727 right here in Enid, Oklahoma, and they've been working undercover to help solve some city problems. And we had the privilege to, Gerald Gilbert, I'll be full information on this. Gerald Gilbert got word that the Girl Scouts were working on a solution on our railroad truck-eating bridge dilemma that we were having. And the Girl Scouts came up with the song, and so the ETN group went out to film one night at Girl Scouts the video. They have not seen the video. This, as Gerald said, this is world premiere because we're live streaming around the globe for the Girl Scout Troop 727 song, and it's called Smash Hit. So if Dana can hit the button for us, here we go. If you'd look at the monitors, it's quiet for a while, so.
If you are a big rig and you're driving through Enid, stay on approved truck routes. 'Cause if you don't, you will end up on East Main. And there's a shark bridge with really, really low clearance. It will gobble you up. Smash, 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 smash. Smash, 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 smash. Smash, 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 smash. Smash! If you are a big rig and you're driving through Enid, stay on approved truck routes. Stay on approved truck routes. It's the law.
I love it.
Lisa, the mayor has prepared this special recognition for you, and it goes like this. Whereas March 12th of 2018 marks the 106th anniversary of Girl Scouts in the United States of America, founded by Juliette Gordon Lowe in 1912 in Savannah, Georgia. Whereas throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouting has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism. And whereas through Girl Scouting, girls gain courage, confidence, and character who make their local communities and the world a better place. And whereas tonight's special recognition goes to the girls representing Troop 727 for their creativeness to write and sing this song, Smash Hit, and to Miss Lisa Granberg for her leadership. Therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Bill Shuey, Mayor of Enid, Oklahoma, hereby designate this special recognition honor on this first day of May in the year 2018 and congratulates Girl Scout Troop 727 for their smash hit song. Congratulations.
Hey, Steve, this is going to get some radio play in the morning, too, right?
Absolutely.
We're going to try to get it on the charts.
As soon as we hit some magical buttons, it'll be released and be going around the globe. But this is the first time the girls got to see the video, so it's just as a surprise to them as all of us. Anything you want to say, Lisa? Thank you for your work.
Well, our girls have been working on the Bronze Award. This is the oldest girls in our troop. There are older levels. And they've also, besides working with the city to make the video, we have been working with GPS companies trying to see if we can get them to input and maybe have a low clearance warning on GPS systems, as well as trying to talk with trucking schools and things. We've been writing lots of letters just to see if we can get the word out. So
Very good. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Mayor, that's it. I believe we're good for this part.
This is a first for me.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, commissioners. Thank you.
I bet you girls would like that song.
Yeah. They're pretty harsh critics. Can't imagine. No clue.
Their new badge will be interesting. Item 4, update on Vance Air Force Base and Call Lake infrastructure efforts and the Washington, D.C. trip by Mike Cooper. Coop, thank you for being here. Try to top that.
I always wonder, it's always great to be back in Enid, but these dates change all the time, and I wonder, why we're always busy and there's different things going on. But I always get to follow up things like that. How do you follow that up? Thanks, Mayor.
You will not win.
Yeah, before I start, I have something I want to give all of you, so.
Okay.
That same thing.
Okay, you got it.
Hey, we've got, that's good. It's extra.
Yeah, so it's always good to be here, Mayor, City Council, Attorney, Chiefs, the rest of the staff's always good to be here to kind of brief you on a couple important things. As you know, generally, I'm always here to update you on our Vance effort, our Protect Enhance effort, so I'm going to do that, but I've also been asked this year to assist with your Call Lake funding to try to find dollars and or cheap money, low-interest dollars to help fund that project. So first I'll describe what we've been doing there, and I know we went to D.C. and we had some meetings with various people, but some of the issues that are going on there, we're working through different programs where we could access low-interest money, so we'll continue to follow that. We thought that the President's infrastructure bill would be out, but that's not going to be out this year. I think you'll see a big infrastructure bill in the future, but there is, of course, still going to be, they're going to spend dollars on infrastructure, but not at the level of what they were doing. So what I've done, worked with the House and Senate Armed Services Committee to come up with a way for communities and states to access dollars at least, for assistance on projects like this, whether it's water resiliency, whether it's alternative energy, so you got continued backup power resource things, also things like schools, road access, things that help with readiness for the military. So we've come up with language, and the Senate or the House Armed Services Committee Chairman, Mac Thornberry, will have it in the House mark. That doesn't mean that it's completed, but it'll mean that it'll be in the NDAA. So that is language to that bill, which says that there'll be money put to it. Not sure where the dollars will come from. Well, there's some discussion about will it come from DOD, will it come through transportation, because a lot of this is infrastructure, like water, like sewer, wastewater treatment, things like that. But it's where then entities that have these particular issues, particularly on the water issue, for example, Department of Defense rated and scored all installations on their ability to, have water resiliency and redundancy. So everyone's been scored and rated on that, so it's a very important thing. We know that water's important to the community. So what you would do if they create this authority, and at the moment it's they would think that the Office of Economic Adjustment would be the authority because they're the link between Department of Defense and the states and communities, so they're kind of the likely choice to do that, but we'll see how that pans out. But then states and communities would then go to that through a grant process to be able to access dollars to assist with different projects. Particularly if you have water, you're going to have money to put towards those projects, which we already do on ours. Even in lieu of that, once I think the infrastructure, so that's a good thing. So since there's not a method at the moment for us to access dollars, what better way than to create a method to access dollars? So we've done that. Again, the chairman is going to have it in the chairman's mark for the NDA on the House side. I've already briefed, as you might imagine, Inhofe and other folks on the Senate Armed Services Committee. So everybody kind of likes this because all their states and communities that have military installations around them all have critical issues. Generally, all of them are already funding most of these things. In other words, if the states or communities don't fund it, it generally doesn't get done. This is a way for partnership to happen. So we're doing that, but I wanted you to be aware that even though there's not ability to access dollars this year through any kind of infrastructure bill that may come out, and that was a partnering. In other words, the president's plan was that to leverage community and state dollars to do big infrastructure projects, which yours is a big infrastructure. So I think there's the ability to probably get dollars from that once and if that happens, but that would be at least next year. So this is a good method to do that. So there'll be more to come on that. I know on the low interest loan, there are a lot of options out there for that, at least for parts of the long-term bonding issue that you have. So we'll see how that goes. Today, I attended the meeting with the mayor. I think George was there. A couple others to get a brief. The advisory panel got the first brief on the joint land use study. And that's the program that we were able to get money from the Office of Economic Adjustments. I think Gerald was at around 250,000 was the grant.
200,000.
Okay, about that, and then the city had a 10% match on that. But it kind of, we had not, at least to my knowledge, we have not done a joint land use study before. And it's not only dealing with encroachment, airspace protection issues and all that, but a wide variety of things that are important to give you a roadmap of what we, it's short-term, long-term things that we can do for our protection enhancement efforts. So it's a good process to go through. And again, we were able to get dollars from OEA to get that done. So that's kind of at the beginning stages of that. Had some great input and some good initial meetings, I think. Now I'll talk about, what's going on at the state, what's happened, and then a little bit about the federal issues that we've got going on, at least from our DC trip. So at the state level, the first thing, the budget was just signed yesterday by the governor. What that means for us is that the Oklahoma Strategic Military Planning Commission is going to go back to full funding, which will be approximately $1 million, and that's the pot of dollars that we're able to access money to help us with a variety of protection enhancement efforts that we do. Currently, it would be to help assist. We got $158,000 this year, probably get approximately that much more next year to help you with the terminal out at the Woodring Airport. So that was fully funded. The other thing that, as you all know, been working on it for 2 years. One of the most important things that we can do, because the most important number one military value asset we have is airspace. So as you know, we've worked on completing the wind turbine legislation bill, or airspace bill, as I would call it. I think they call it the wind turbine bill. But Senate Bill 1576 was officially finally passed last week. I think the governor, if she hadn't signed it today, she will this week. So that is officially done. As you know, it was a 2-year effort. We brought, Department of Defense, military, Department of Defense clearinghouse, wide variety of senators and reps, the wind industry, the Regional Wind Coalition, the American Wind Association at the federal level, brought them all together to get the right answer. And it was never about don't build, alternative energy wind turbines in the state. It was where to build. It was how do we get to yes. And so we've, everybody, all sides have agreed that this is the best process for this. The Department of Defense and FAA agree as well. And what it really does, without going into all the details, but essentially when a developer makes filing to the Corporation Commission, 6 months prior to that they do anything filing with FAA or whatever, FAA or the Department of Defense Clearinghouse, they have to file with the Corporation Commission, which then gives that immediately to the county, so they're aware of it, and they give it to the Military Planning Commission, which I chair. Then we hand off to the military installations that, so they can check and verify what the issues or concerns are. In 30 days, I have to give a report back to the FAA and Department of Clearinghouse, as well as the military does. And the only way that a development gets to proceed is if they get a letter, a determination of no hazard, and or agreed upon mitigation between the services, the Department of Defense Clearinghouse, and or FAA. All of them are involved in that mitigation. If not, if they don't receive that, then a project's not going to move forward. So the whole idea is to get you to a yes, build here, not there, or if there's mitigation that can be done to do it, which the experts, not me, the experts would be the ones to determine that. So where the Defense Department and FAA like it, and one other thing that we did last year is we added to the Defense Authorization Bill, because before readiness and training didn't rise to the level of national security, so we gave them more teeth. We were able to work with INHOF to get that done. And one other issue that we've found out that we have is because we have two specifically cited weather radar that DOD, they're set there specifically for Department of Defense, one at Kegelman and one down at Frederick. Shepard and Altus use that one, down at Frederick. Vance and those folks would utilize that, and they utilize it for a variety of reasons that I don't know everything about that, but they use it to help them decide how and what they train, what levels, all that sort of thing. Well, currently, and we met about 3 weeks ago, the mayor went with, and we went to the National Weather Research Center, and NOAA gave us a brief on the impact to weather radar and what was happening, their ability to inform wind industry. They can tell them about the impact, but they can't stop it. And so, and then they gave us a brief on how it impacts how I can't see weather, tornadoes. We've already had issues with, not in Oklahoma, but other states have had issues where they've missed tornadoes. And then if you allow development inside certain areas, then again, it renders the thing useless. Now, there are some areas, I think, outside of the closest to the area of the radar that maybe there are some mitigation things you can do, but that's something that someone else has to decide. But FAA, they have 7 levels, 7 criteria that they look at in this determination of no hazard. Weather radar is not one of them. So we're going to add that at the federal level. That'll be through the transportation authorization authorities and again, we'll work with INHOF because he's on Environment and Public Works Committee, and we'll work to get that added because, again, it's something that's really important. And when you find out that not only does it, you pay tax dollars to set that there specifically for Defense Department, if it's rendered useless, then that's not good. But most importantly, the biggest deal about this, what we found out is that we can't have a weather radar sitting there that can't really see the weather because, it helps them not only forecast it, but determine, locations of tornadoes. And as we all know, that's very important in Oklahoma. So I think we'll get that done. So airspace piece, there was a lot of things, a lot of balls in the air on this. First, you got the authority, give it more teeth at the federal level with this readiness and training, rising level national security. Get the weather radar information in there. We'll get that done this session. Get the state legislation passed. And by the way, the Defense Department and the Clearinghouse have already directed the states of Ohio, Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, areas that are having major issues with towers and structures as well. to look at this legislation, because really at the end of the day, what this legislation does is it gives a backstop when the experts say no, the state's going to be no as well. And so it's working to get a good resolution. So great news. So when we were in D.C., naturally we briefed the Assistant Secretary of Defense and the Principal Deputy of Air Force Installation, Environment, and Energy. And of course, they were very thankful. They didn't know that we would ever get this done because, again, we've tried for 2 years to get it done. So we covered with them. That was very good. We talked about a lot of the other various issues, particularly Lucian Niemeyer. It was good to bring him up to speed on all the activities. We know him from the past when he was on the Senate Armed Services Committee when Inhofe was the minority leader on armed services. So we know him, but we wanted him to, to understand all the issues that we're currently working on, brought him up to speed on all the activity that we've done out at Woodring. And again, he would agree with Air Force leadership that, again, you couldn't have done this at a better time because they've got, 15 to 2,000 pilot shortage that they're trying to do. So all we've ever done with the Woodring, with the runway expansion and all that, we're not Air Force. They are. They can determine how to best utilize that to allow them to do what it is that they do. So, after advising them and telling them all of the things that we're doing, what that really means is, and we were briefed today, and we don't really understand the numbers, but we all pay a close enough attention to pilot training that, we know. I remember in the Fig Newton days, we were training around 450. We've been as low as 250 or whatever. Well, currently, I think they were training around 320, probably going to go up into the upper 300s, and next year go up, say, to 420. So what that means is, because of all the assets and infrastructure we have here, it allows them to make the decisions, because what we want at Vance is, of course, for it not only be protected, but be able for them to increase that mission out there. So really, that's kind of, Mayor, unless you've got anything else, that's kind of a brief overview of what we've been doing and what we'll continue to work on. So
We appreciate what you do for the city of Enid and Vance Air Force Base, Mike.
Well, I appreciate that, and again, it'll be good to take a break from all the wind industry issues that we've been dealing with for 2 years, so we can get another topic, and we'll keep working on the Call Lake issue. So I think they were good visits and had a lot of good things to say, in leadership between Richard Hartley and Lucian Niemeyer. They had a lot of good things to say about what we're doing, and appreciate it very much.
Any questions? Thanks again.
Okay.
Have a safe trip home.
Okay, good to see you guys.
Item 5, consider appointments to the Library Board and Fire Civil Service Commission. Gerald?
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, we'll do the Library Board first. There are 2 vacancies and 7 applicants. The 2 vacancies are created by Ms. Jewell, who is term limited, and Mr. Clampett, who is an incumbent who seeks reappointment. There are also 6 other applicants, so we'll hear from the applicants that are here tonight. Is Mr. Clampett here? Okay, is Mr. Carpenter here? Would you want to come on up to the podium and address the commission about why you want to be on the library board? And
Hi. I frequent the library often. I have a 3-year-old kid that I take to the library 2 to 3 times a week. There's lots of fun programs, especially for the little kids. When I was told that I could get on this library board and help out, I was really excited about it because, I go there a lot. I've been going there for at least 2 years with my kid right now. And so I have a lot of input on what I would like to see there, and, maybe some minor changes to stuff. And I would really like to be involved more in it. So that's why I've been trying to get on the board.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Is Ms. Lewis here?
Hi, my name is Renee Lewis. I'm also very interested in becoming a member of the board Jenny Rieger actually invited me to apply. I've been an avid user of the library myself. We're military also, so this is our second and final station here. We've actually just extended here, so we'll be here for a good long time. My children both go there. My daughter loves to put on puppet shows there. My son loves doing all of their Maker Center things. I am a teacher. I've worked in elementary, and I've now working in middle school. So between the military community and my involvement in the education community, I'm on the board of Creative Arts Enid, and I'm also involved with Leonardo's and teach at their schools. So I'm very involved in all community aspects, and I would just love to be able to expand that by doing things with the library and helping them grow and reach different facets of the community as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Poplin? Okay. Ms. Powell?
My name is Joyce Powell. My father's family has been in Garfield County since the run of 1893. My grandparents were married before Oklahoma became a state. I taught in Enid Public Schools for 38 years. My husband who just passed away about a month ago, was an employee of Sears and Roebuck for 40 years. My daughter and her husband currently live in town. I have been a lifelong reader, and I feel like at this time in my life, I have the time and the want to encourage other people in using the wonderful facility that Garfield County has. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. Ms. Stebley?
Hi, I'm Jenny Stebley. We are avid library patrons. I am there 2 to 3 times a week with 3 children. We take full advantage of every class and program they have available, in addition to checking out hundreds of books a year to keep my children entertained as well as myself. I feel like the library is a really great asset for the community, and it's been a huge benefit for my family and for my little kids. So I'd love to be able to give back in some way by being on the advisory board. In fact, I just came from the library, actually straight here from a program we were doing this evening, so we're there a lot. I also have an education background in early childhood education. I taught pre-K for 10 years before becoming a stay-at-home mom, so I'd like to be a voice for the smallest, littlest library patrons on the board. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Weiss? Okay, we have 7 applicants. You need to vote for 2. Okay, while Will tallies those votes, we'll move on to the Fire Civil Service Commission, where we have 1 vacancy and 2 applicants. Mr. Todd Earl is the incumbent, and he wishes and seeks reappointment. And we also have an application from Mr. Tom Lane. Is Mr. Earl here? Is Mr. Lane here? No Mr. Lane and no Mr. Earl. Okay.
We just voted for Fire Civil Service if you feel like casting a ballot.
Mr. Earl and Mr. Lane.
Neither of them are here, so you didn't miss much.
Sure. Shouldn't take long.
While we're waiting, I will just say it's a very impressive lineup of applicants for the library board. There's only 2 vacancies, so whoever gets appointed tonight, I know the rest of you, we will want to call as soon as there's an opening. And I would also encourage you, I'm sure Jenny would love to have you volunteer. And if you're interested in other boards, we have other boards where we don't have as many people that want to participate. So we appreciate your willingness to come out and serve your community tonight.
Why don't we go on? Will, when you get both of them finished, we'll read the results. Item 6, administration. Item 6.1, consider a resolution authorizing the Enid Municipal Authority, EMA, to purchase a letter of credit for the purpose of landfill financial assurance as required by the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben to approve, second by Ron. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.2, consider an award of a professional service contract with RSM US LLP, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in the amount of $86,600 to complete financial statement preparation, the independent auditor's report on the financial statements of the City of Enid, Oklahoma, and its related authorities, complete the single audit compliance audit, and the state auditor and inspector form 2643. Aaron?
Yes, Mayor and Commissioners, we sent out a RFP for proposals for audit services. It had been 5 years since we've done that last. We sent it out to 12 qualified firms that are registered with Oklahoma State Accountancy Board and also advertised. We got back 2 proposals. The committee reviewed those proposals and rated them. And based on the 2 proposals, we ranked RSM to be the most qualified firm to perform those professional services for us.
Mayor, I just have one question. Isn't this a smaller amount than we paid them last year?
It is. It's an 8% decrease from last year's fee.
You think this is going to take care of the whole deal?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Motion by Ron.
Second.
Second by George. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.3, consider request for a variance to City of Enid Ordinance 10-6-1, sidewalks required for property located at 310 East Harvard Avenue. Robert?
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. This is a request from the property owner at 310 East Harvard, as mentioned, for requesting a variance in the ordinance for sidewalks. We have a location map up here that shows Harvard Street and the existing about 5,000 square foot building, and they've added about 5,000 square foot to that site. This presented here a copy of the ordinance, which basically applies that for additions on commercial or industrial sites, that sidewalks are required on the fronting street. There is an exception for development on unimproved streets. Excuse me. This is a picture of the abutting street, and although it appears to be in fairly poor condition or has some use to it, it was slurry sealed at one time, so it doesn't meet the definition as we see it for an unimproved street. So they have asked for a variance based on they feel that there's not a need for sidewalk in this commercial area, and the condition of the street fairly well looks to comply with an unimproved street.
What is that surface there, Robert?
That was a slurry seal surface. It was a rock base with a chip and seal or oil and rock put on the surface at some time in the past. So that's a chip and seal surface.
Surface formerly known as a street. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ben to approve the variance, second by Jonathan. Further discussion? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.4, award a contract to Beverages Construction LLC, Crescent, Oklahoma, for the Chestnut West Detention Facility, Phase 1, project number F-1803C1, in the amount of $499,777.50, and authorize the mayor to execute all contract documents.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben to approve,
Second?
second by Ron. Further discussion. George?
I noticed that when I looked through those, there was at least $100,000 less than the second most reasonable bid. And I'm wondering, did we really capture everything? Do you feel like it's a bid that's consistent with the work that's being requested?
Yes, it is quite competitive there. You're quite correct. But Beverage Construction has done work for us on detention facilities, has moved soil and done work at the structure. So they meet all the requirements. They can bond the project. They have the experience and the abilities to do it, and they provide a very competitive bid. There is no reason to reject them from any information we have.
Thank you.
And certainly, I believe they will provide the contracts and proceed with the project. I will mention there is an item under consent, a change order, that will add additional dirt work to this project to bring us up to the total funding we have available to do work in this area. Thank you.
We do have one person signed up on this item. Billy, is it Mingson?
Manasco. Did he just step out?
He just left.
Yes, I believe he's left.
He will definitely be for the project, I can tell you. Robert, you can attest to that too, right?
That's correct.
I think he thought it already passed, so he stepped out.
Yep. This there is development going up. There is development going on in this area, Pheasant Run, and this detention is proposed to provide for that improvement. But it's already passed, so I'll just let you know that that's why it's there. Thank you.
We have a motion second.
Further discussion. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.5, review the sign request for property located at 5230 West Owen K. Garrett Road to determine if an existing billboard may be relocated and converted to a digital billboard under Section 11-13-9D of the Enid Municipal Code, EMC, specific economic development opportunities, and take appropriate action. Chris.
Thank you, Mayor, City Commissioners, City Managers. The site outlined in yellow at the northeast corner of Garrett and Garland is going to be the new site of a new Jiffy Trip store. And currently there's an existing billboard shown in this slide. The next picture shows the development of the Jiffy Trip, and they need to move it. The existing doesn't show up well, but it's right here. They're going to move it to this location. The reason they're moving it is to get it out of the traffic flow to increase safety on the property. The variance request is for changeable copy. Our current sign ordinance allows that on freestanding signs, but does not allow it on a billboard, and they're seeking relief to that. So the variance would be, if you grant it, they could have changeable copy on the billboard. Are there any questions?
Our ordinance, explicitly prohibits electronic billboards. And we can grant a variance for economic development opportunity, but these folks are doing a really great project, but they're doing the project. It feels like economic development is when there's, provide an incentive for something to happen, and I think they're going to do the project regardless, and it's a great project, and I've got no heartburn with them moving the sign, but we don't have any electric billboards in town, and I'm not sure that we want to break that particular dam. With such a low threshold for economic development, it kind of feels like anybody who wants an electric billboard could come to us and say, well, you let them do it with nothing more than a pretty please, and I don't think that we want to set a precedent to allow electronic billboards this time. I'll make a motion to allow the movement of the billboard without the change of the type.
We do have one person signed up to speak to this item. Don Rose?
Yeah, and I would just say, as Don's walking up here, come on up, Don. The economic development perspective of this is a multi-million-dollar improvement at Garrett and Garland. And I will tell you, I do understand the concern about digital billboards. Personally, my opinion, looking at billboards around town, and more importantly, billboards around larger communities that I've been in recently, like Tulsa and Oklahoma City, the trend is away from the old-style billboards, which are many times not well maintained, so that the vinyl doesn't hang up there nicely. And most of the billboards I've seen, particularly on the way to DC, on the trip up there, were all digital billboards, and they all look better. The digital billboard itself, I believe, is going to be a significant improvement. But I'm going to stop talking, Don, because you're going to...
Well, but briefly, Gerald, I mean, an important point here is, I mean, that's fine if that's an aesthetic desire, but the ordinance is pretty clear. No new billboards, no electronic billboards.
Yes, that's correct, but the ordinance is also clear that it allows you for economic development to approve that. So, and you know that, sir.
To be business-friendly, I think we need to work on the ordinance, change it.
Well, but Bill, when the ordinance was passed, it was passed for the explicit reason that billboards, when you drive up and down Broadway Extension or when, you know, parts of Tulsa, it's not the most attractive thing to see on the side of the road. I mean, it was an aesthetic decision for the city of Enid, and so we can maintain that or we can change it. But if the ordinance is going to be changed, I think that we need to change it for everybody. This is a really great project. This is a great development. I'm thrilled they're doing the work. I'm not sure the billboard is a necessary component. An electronic billboard is a necessary component. Clearly moving it is. I mean, absolutely no question there. I mean, maybe you can address that, Don. Why would an electronic billboard make
Wait
this
just a minute before Don speaks. I think if a business wants to do this and help them make a profit and sell their goods and merchandise, I'm in favor of it. Don?
Thank you, Commissioners. The Williams Broadcasting owns the billboard that's there. Jiffy Trip has approached Williams Broadcast System to say, would you, how can you move this sign out of our development? In that effort, our Williams Broadcasting System has agreed to move the sign, but in doing that, upgrade the sign. And that's how that allows for that economic development. The sign that we own is, that Williams Broadcast owns, finds where it's at, but to allow that, that's the reason it upgrades, is to do that for Jiffy Trip, to enhance that project or allow that to happen.
But moving it will allow it to happen also, correct? Just moving.
True, but what's the point from a sign ownership to move it without the ability to upgrade it?
Well, but I mean,
we would just, the broadcasting, to enhance it is the reason to work with Jiffy Trip.
We're talking about the billboard at Garrett and Cleveland.
Garland.
No.
Garland.
I know that's where it's going to be located.
What's where it is today?
It's a different billboard, the one that you're talking about at Cleveland and Garrett.
Does this
one
affect
is...
the location of the one that's at Cleveland and?
No, sir, that's a separate issue.
Don, you have a lot of locations. Do you have the signs in any?
Say that again, Mayor.
locations?
I'm sorry. Do what?
Do you have any of the signs that you're wanting to put up in any of your other locations where you have?
No.
Now, this billboard, you're not going to be utilizing this billboard. This billboard is going to be for the current owner. It's just, this is an agreement between you and them in order to be able to move it so they can put up whatever it is that they want.
Exactly.
So without this taking place, your ability in order to be able to have that entranceway function the way that it needs to is going to be hampered, correct?
Absolutely. We're in the way, or Williams Broadcast is in the way.
Motion didn't have a second.
So it's not going to be, it's not a billboard that's outside that'll have, here's our daily special, hamburgers, hot dogs, none of that.
Different
It's gonna be-
ownership.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make sure we're not getting into a revolving, changes every day on whatever the specials are on the property.
So it may change every day.
I was going to say, it potentially could. It's just not going to be based on what it is that he designates because he doesn't own the billboard. It's based on the other company.
So am I correct that Williams Broadcasting and Jiffy Trip are related companies?
They're different ownerships.
Okay, totally different.
I don't know the makeup of the shareholders to be exactly tell you who does what.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the request.
We have a motion to approve the request. We have a second.
I got a question. Is there any way to get any type of information from the current owner as far as what the intent to operate and what to do? Because we're kind of operating with only half the information at this point in order to be able to make a full determination about what happens with it. I mean, I definitely respect your position.
We're the owner of the sign. Williams Broadcasting owns the sign.
Yep.
Well, actually,
That's who's asking for the
the reason I
variance.
made the motion is I like those kind of signs. I think that's the future of the sign business.
Sure.
And I like to see them. I think they're a good addition to the whole process.
I personally don't have anything against the sign. I just know that's what the ordinance says is that they're not permitted at this particular point. So to go against the ordinance, I agree with Ben in the sense that if we're just going to open up the door to say we're going to permit these, then we need to change the ordinance.
We can waive it. We can waive it this time and change it later.
I think what you're asking is, you want to know more about what kind of advertising, like how many ads or how often it's going to change or something?
That is Williams Broadcasting.
Sure. It's just only going to be Williams Broadcasting?
Yes.
It's not going to change 7 times in a minute or something to?
I don't know.
But you wouldn't have any way of knowing that, right?
Well, I mean, we haven't proposed what we advertise on there yet, but the sign does change.
Sure.
I mean, that's why it's a digital
I mean,
sign.
Williams Broadcasting won't be advertising Williams Broadcasting only content.
No,
It would be, you'd be
it will
selling
be
ads to
the event center,
Chick-fil-A or Event Center.
The event center,
or
yeah,
whatever.
whatever wants to buy
Carol,
the ads.
as it currently stands, we have no ordinance, we have no rules pertaining to how often something can flash, whether there's animation.
How bright it can be,
Because everything
anything.
right now is prohibited. So if we allow this, we are allowing it without any restrictions. Is that correct? That's right. So if we vote on this and allow it, they could put moving picture things instead of what we have, for instance, with the event center and with the other couple, with the school district has one where there's no animation allowed, but they can switch from still images. So if this is allowed, if we approve this variance or approve this change, it's without any restriction whatsoever.
Which would potentially leave them grandfathered in when we do finally do the ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'm
it
not
would-
sure we should do that anyway, but,
Don't we do this with sidewalk variances?
It's a
Similar?
little, it's similar, but it's a little different.
I understand.
In that the sidewalk variance we have rules about, you're deciding not to put a sidewalk in when you grant a variance. This is, you're allowing a sign without specific sign guidelines in the ordinance. Now, it maybe the thing to do would be to table this till next meeting. Would that be too long, Mr. Rose? And we could work up some guidelines, and then, of course, there's no way to make everyone happy here, because Mr. Azell's probably not going to be happy, but we could provide some guidelines. I believe I know some guidelines that have already been drafted. So
Well, let me jump in just a minute, too, just because certainly whatever the commission chooses to do is fine. But I will remind the commission that we do have digital signs around town. So while it is correct that part of the sign ordinance does not allow for more billboards or digital billboards, you do allow for digital signs. In fact, the city of Enid has one ourselves. The school system has one. Emmanuel Baptist Church has one. Now, they aren't 10 by 30, I don't think.
much smaller.
But we do have standards for those. So
Yeah.
Carol's suggestion, your suggestion that maybe we have standards is fine.
But if we grant the variance, then we don't have standards to apply.
Right, I just want to, yes, but I just want to be,
Mechanically.
I want to be clear that while two of you are saying that the ordinance doesn't allow for it, that's true, but the ordinance also allows for it through economic development, which is why we're bringing it this way. So I just want it clear that we do have, I guess you could say we have an ordinance that allows for it, it doesn't allow for it. So-
Well, and there is a portion for electronic signs, and we looked at meeting those for brightness and some of those things. So we did look to make sure we conformed with what is in your ordinance for electronic signs.
Although, Dawn, if we grant this as it's requested, you don't have to comply with those.
Say that again, Ben.
Well,
I mean, because it's a billboard, it's not a sign, it's a billboard.
true. We complied with the way the sign ordinance, we applied that to the billboard,
And we
and we're
appreciate
okay with
that.
that.
I just mean technically, if we grant it, we're granting something that you don't, I mean,
Since it's a billboard and little sign, we reviewed the signs and we stated that we could conform.
so
to
is
those
it the
brightness.
intent of Williams Broadcasting to comply with the sign ordinance as applied to Emmanuel?
We saw no problem.
So it will be no animation, it will be within the brightness requirements?
Brightness requirement,
It'll
we
be
even stated
fixed
in our.
still images, switching from one to another?
Yes.
You have a
So a
time
motion could be made to grant the movement and grant the electronic billboard with the restrictions as applied in the other electronic sign requirement,
Yeah, conditioned.
conditionally.
Are you making that motion?
No, because I don't think we should have any more billboards.
I am.
You know,
I'll
but
make
it is a
that- I'll
motion
make
that could
that
be
motion.
made.
Okay.
Wait a minute. We have a motion.
There was a motion on the floor already.
We have a motion on the floor.
I don't think.
It hasn't been
I'm
seconded.
not
was
going to
no
accept
second
that
on it.
until
It
we,
hasn't been seconded.
We've got,
we don't have a second.
No.
Do we have a second on the motion that's on the floor?
Do you want to read the motion again so everybody understands? Jonathan, you made that motion.
oh, don't do that.
No.
I think Ron made the motion.
Yep.
Chris?
Mayor, Commissioners, in your current sign ordinance, you do have standards for automatic and changing signs. I'll be brief. The information displayed must not be displayed for a minimum of 3 seconds. The information displayed must be displayed for a minimum of 3 seconds before it can change.
Well, but Chris, again, Carol said that those rules don't apply to a billboard.
But you could apply
We
those.
could
Right.
apply them,
Right.
but we would have to take some action to do that, not
And
just by
they shall
default.
not pulse, flash, blink, or cause a glare. The sign cannot be motion or animated. Electronic signs shall contain static messages only and shall not have movement or the appearance of optical illusion of movement of any part of the sign structure, design, or pictorial segment of the sign, including the movement, appearance, or movement of any illumination of flashing, varying light intensities, and then there's electronic signs shall not exceed 5,000 nits. That's brightness. So you do have a cluster of standards on freestanding changeable copy that you could apply to this one if you desired. I just wanted you to know that.
I think alternatively, if you, the city attorney suggested you could table it. If you do, I'm pretty certain that we'll be probably bringing back some digital standards for you to consider for the billboard, if that may make it more palatable. And then you can judge whether that opens it up more or less.
I've got
Don?
another question, if that's.
Go ahead.
It's going to be facing east-west, correct?
It's kind of a V shape, so
Okay.
yes, it's.
Is it going to
facing-
be just projecting on one side, or is it going to be on
Both
both
sides.
On both sides? Is any of the lighted portion of it going to be facing the residential area that's right behind that?
What residential area? They're really,
Cedar Ridge.
Cedar Ridge is quite a ways down the road past Atwood, so,
I don't think they'd ever see it.
yeah, it's.
Jeez.
O&G's building there, yeah.
Yeah.
And is that tree line that abuts O&G, is that their property?
That is their property.
And they're
That
retaining
tree
that?
line's still there, yeah. Yes, sir.
You have a time constraint on it?
I know that the Jiffy Trip people are pushing a site plan review with the city soon. I don't, I'm sure could hinder that to some extent.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it with the conditions that it meets the current sign, the sign ordinances that are in existence right now.
I'd second that.
Is that a motion to apply the sign ordinances to the billboard?
To
Is
the
there-
automatic changeable copy regulations in the sign ordinance.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Y'all can write it out for me if you want, and I'll read it.
As soon as you're through writing down, I'm going to let you read the motion.
Don't you miss this stuff, Don?
Got it.
Could you read the motion, please?
Carol, what did you? Well, in Chris's, in his agenda item, he indicates that there are automatic changeable copy sign regulations that they were agreeing to comply with. Or we could call it the electrical or digital display regulations that are in the ordinance. Either one of those will work.
The shorter version.
You got it. It's all you.
Motion is made to grant movement of sign and change of type with the condition to apply the automatic changeable sign ordinance regulations.
Is that what you
Yeah,
said? Is that what you
Oh,
said?
yeah, that's what I said verbatim. I said it just like that.
Are you okay?
I'm not seconding it, no.
I already did.
He's got a second.
We got a second.
I did it.
We're getting ready to vote. Please cast your vote. Motion carries. It should be 4-2.
It is.
Motion carries 4-2. I'll now read the library board. There are 2 vacancies. They'll be filled by Renee Lewis and Jennifer, is it Stebley? Stebley? Renee had 3 votes from Ezell, Waddell, and Pankinen. Stebley had 4 votes, Norwood, Ezell, Waddell, and Shuey. And Eli Carpenter had 1 vote, and Bert Clampett had 1 vote, 2 votes, Waddell and Shuey. Powell had 1 vote, and that was from Pankinen, and Amber Weiss did not have a vote, nor did Carolyn Poplin. So the 2 library board commissions will be Renee Lewis and Jennifer Stebley. Congratulations and thank you. The Fire Civil Service Commission, there were 6 votes, and they were all in favor of Todd Earl. Jansen, Norwood, Ezell, Waddell, Pankin, and Shuey all voted for Todd Earl. Todd will be the new commissioner. Item 7, consent items.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ben to approve, second by Jonathan.
George.
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 George?
Yep.
So, Jonathan.
He wishes.
Second by George. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 8, we will now recess to convene as the Enid Municipal Authority. Item 9, all of the trustees of the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting are in attendance except for Tammy. She is absent. Item 10, the Enid Municipal Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 10.1, approve purchase of a letter of credit with Security National Bank, Enid, Oklahoma, for landfill assurance as required by the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality in the amount of $25,804.93.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 10.2, execute a contract with Cogsdale Corporation for the Diamond Municipal Services software replacement in the amount of $573,300 and authorize the chairman to execute all contract documents.
Have any questions about our software? The software we currently have is 15 years old. There's been very few improvements in them 15 years. Their service is very poor. I turned in a service request on March 27th. They called me today. And very poor reporting, which is very important for finance and also to help us with the call improvement.
How long should this software last us?
The new software?
Uh-huh.
Another 15, 20 years.
Is there an annual fee associated with it?
Yes, sir.
How
There's
much
a
is it?
maintenance fee. It's, I don't have that exactly, but I think it's around 40,000 a year.
That's what I remember.
That's right?
Yeah, currently we're paying $25,000 too with Diamond.
Yes.
How long will it take to implement it?
At least 6 months.
And then you scrap what's there?
Yes, we'll completely, and it also does permitting and business licenses. There's something else it does. What's it there? Oh, maybe this is-
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ron,
Second.
second by Ben. George, you have a question?
Yeah. Have you, you talked about the lack of responsiveness on correcting the software problems with the current one?
Yes,
Have
sir.
you looked at all into the new company to find out what their responsiveness is?
Yes, I checked 5 or 6 different references,
Okay.
asked that question of every one of them, and they said they've, in the last 3 years, they've been very responsive and improved their service greatly.
Did you tell me a story today about the vice president of the company came and sat down with one of the customers? And
Yes, sir. One of the people I called said the vice president of Cogsdale, the company that we're replacing them with,
really the truth.
came and visited, sat across the table from them, and asked that customer what we could do to improve our software. The current company we had now is not going to come visit us.
Well, I don't know, maybe if we paid them another $500,000, they might.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion, comments? Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 10.3, approval of claims in the amount of $348,696.38.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ron, second by Ben. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 11, we'll now adjourn to convene as the Enid Economic Development Authority. Item 12, all of the trustees of the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting are in attendance except for Tammy. Tammy is absent. Item 13, the Enid Economic Development Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 13.1, approve and execute a contract with Retail Attractions, LLC of Tulsa, Oklahoma, to retain and recruit local retail business and increase economic development in the city of Enid in order to protect the city's revenue stream and improve the quality of life for all residents.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Jonathan. Second by
Second.
Dan. I have a question.
That level of enthusiasm.
Isn't their address Tulsa, Owasso, Oklahoma, and not Tulsa?
Same thing.
we'll have to check into that. Ricky lives in Owasso. We'd have to check and see where his LLC is located.
Right. The business location is in Owasso. Yeah, check it out and make sure it's right.
And this is saving us some amount of money as compared to our previous contracts with retail
Yes.
attractions, correct?
Yes, I'll go ahead and discuss it just briefly. It's a 2-year agreement, continuing a long-term relationship that we've had for probably about 7 or 8 years with Ricky Hayes. It does lower the base pay for Ricky from $6,000 a month to $4,000 a month. It does allow to pay him a per diem rate when he comes to Enid, specifically for business with developers or the city commission or me or anybody he's working it with. And also the third component is an incentive, which is solely based on bringing deals to the Lahoma Courts area. And that is tiered. So a deal that was $500,000 or less is $5,000 incentive. $500,000 to $1 million is $10,000, and over $1 million is $15,000. For a maximum of $15,000 incentive per year, for a total of $30,000 for 2 years. And just to recite some of the things that Ricky has been directly involved in over the past 7 or 8 years, particularly the notable things. One of them is he brought GBT Realty to us for the development with Academy, which of course required an incentive. He also worked with the Hunt folks and commission on repurposing the old Homeland building into what it is today. And he was involved with McAllister and several other things, several deals that didn't happen, although his efforts hopefully built a relationship that will continue, for instance, with Jim Deal and the apartments, working with Jim Deal on the Oakwood Mall, and then subsequently Bill Stone, so several other things. Anyway, that's the essence of the deal.
We say purchase or lease, but we don't say what the duration of lease is. So can somebody come in for a one-year lease, he gets a bonus, and then they leave?
Typically,
Pay $1 million, then sure.
Typically,
If we approve it.
yeah, typically, certainly you would have to approve it, but the leases he's talking about are ground leases,
Okay.
where the city would retain ownership of a parcel of property, but sell it to somebody, or actually lease it to somebody for a period of years. He says typically the time frame is 10, with an option for 10 more.
Yeah.
Actually sounds like a potentially lucrative thing for the city that generates revenue, if that would come to fruition. It also allows for selling parcels.
I would be happy for somebody to have $1 million one-year ground lease. That'd be fine.
It's more like, he says the ground leases are in the range of 80,000 to 100,000 per year. Over 10 years, it'd be potentially $1 million.
The agreement as written has notice requirements in it, and it does look like the Retail Attractions LLC is Owasso, Oklahoma. We've also confirmed that that's the address on his website. So we're fine, it's just the agenda said
We have
out
a-
of Tulsa,
We have,
but
we have a contract that says the same thing.
it says Owasso?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the contract is right. The agenda item is maybe just talking about the area of the state
You
rather
could
than the city
round up
itself.
from Owasso to Tulsa.
Yes,
If you'll change it to
exactly.
Owasso, we'll be happy. Have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 13.2, approval of claims in the amount of $6,000.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben.
Second.
Second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 14 will now adjourn to the Enid Public Transportation Authority. All of the trustees of the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting are in attendance except for Tammy. She is absent. Item 16, the Enid Public Transportation Authority regular meeting is now in session. Item 16.1, award a contract with RSM US LLP, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, to complete the 2017-2018 Enid Public Transportation Authority Vehicle Revenue Mileage Audit in the amount of $4,000.
Move to approve.
Motion by Ben.
Second.
Second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 16.2, approval of claims in the amount of $3,245.45.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ben, second by Jonathan. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. Item 17, we will now reconvene as the Enid City Commission. Item 18, public comments. We have one person signed up. Diane?
My name is Diane Levac. I just signed my initials in ASL, American Sign Language, and this being the hearing month or year, I wanted to lift up Oklahoma Relay Services, by which completely deaf people or hard of hearing people that use a telephone telegraph device called a TTY can dial in Oklahoma Relay Services, and they can dial any business or person that they want to talk to. Type in with their TTY, and the relay service will talk to the other person, and then upon hearing the response, type it in back to the deaf person. And I've mentioned this again, that this is very important for ETN to use either open or closed captioning, because there is a deaf community here in Enid. Also, there's this deal about a unity in the community, and we're trying to get everybody united, and I've already given Gerald Gilbert a preview of that, and I would appreciate Ben Ezel if he didn't fall asleep during my presentation. Thank you. I did say, Gerald, that I was going to open with Namaste, Hare Krishna, Shalom, Salam, Allahu Akbar. These address all members that live here in Enid that tend to be overlooked as charitable resources, and I know of at least 2 and possibly 3 commissioners who are kept apprised of the Unity in Action meeting. Well, significant members of, well, how should I put this? A significant number of people who usually show up didn't at the last meeting, and it was basically, well, shall we say, an evangelical event, which I closed with Allahu Akbar, and I pretty much put everybody into shock about that. So what I'm going to do is, as I promised Mr. Gilbert, I am to applaud you for the diversity you've shown in the invocation today. But you also know by doing a non-Christian invocation, and I mean all of you, not just Gerald Gilbert, you're all implicated in this, you're going to rile up certain Christians, particularly the ones who had a problem with the downtown art project. I'll bet on it. Oh, I'm not supposed to gamble, pardon me. Anyway, I'm going to also lift up, because the smaller churches in town who also have some very impressive charitable works that were also not represented in Unity in Action. At the last meeting, I asked Forgotten Ministries if they had ever worked with the Korean Grace Church. And if you recall, commissioners, I recommended that one of their ministers give the invocation here. Hasn't happened yet. But the response I got was that there was a language barrier. And I have some good news for you on that. We have a wonderful Mormon community to whom language is no barrier, never has been. They know what the meaning of outreach is. When they talk to somebody, they learn their language. Their missionaries go to other countries, learn their language, and work among the people, and when in Rome, etc. Apparently, the people in Unity in Action put it upon me to go invite them as if I was a minister. There is no unity in the community unless you involve everybody, and that includes Mormons. We do have a rabbi in town, and I have to side with the Christians who are outraged by tonight's presentation that your first non-Christian minister was not a rabbi, a local person. And yeah, the person who spoke this evening is something of a celebrity. He also gave the invocation to the state government. Not that long ago, I guess he's making the rounds. But we have some wonderful, wonderful ministers that have been thus far overlooked. And when I talk to the members of those churches, they're telling me that they don't want to say anything about it because they walk on toes doing that. That shouldn't be the case. You should embrace every member of this community regardless of their faith. And you've got it from me, the person who not only walks on toes but stomps on them and rocks all your boats. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Motion by George, second by Ben. Please cast your vote. Motion carries 6-0. We are adjourned.
Thank you for joining us for the Enid City Commission meeting. All meetings are broadcast on local cable channel 12 and in high definition on channel 112. In addition, the council meeting is live streamed on the web at enidtv.org. If you have any questions or comments regarding this broadcast, please visit the City of Enid website at enid.org.